Welcome to Foundations of Supervision. I'm Dr. R. Mark Miles, Senior Director of Cultural, Organizational, and Development Engagement and Human Resources, and I'll be your facilitator today. Welcome to the session. Our session goals are to understand the expectations and responsibility of the supervisor role, identify common pitfalls that derail new supervisors, explore how to manage relationships with the team in order to drive the desired outcomes of the organization, and understand how to manage task-related or interpersonal crisis. If you notice there at the bottom of your screen, it says Participant Guide, page 1. I'm currently holding up the participant guide that should have been emailed out to you in advance and will be in Bridge for you to download and send in advance of each session. I highly recommend that you print these off because this is an easy place for you to take your notes and to follow along where we're at. But you will always be able to look at the PowerPoint to know where we're at in the participant guide. We're going to do an exercise now, and we're going to do a test run to make sure you are set. But we have left-hand column, behaviors of effective supervisor, right-hand behaviors of effective supervisor. We're going to fill in both sides, but we're going to do that on a bigger sheet of paper, but we're going to just type test on this page. If you go to right here, this green strip on your Zoom ribbon, it will say you're viewing R. Mark Miles' screen. You'll click on view options, click annotate, click the annotate button, and then click down here at text and type. Put your cursor on the screen and then type. So if everybody, you're going to want to type, hit text. Good job, Scott. Go ahead and do a test real quick and type test. You're going to want to move your cursor around so you don't fall on top of each other. Still a lot of people that haven't typed tests. Let's go ahead. And I'm not going to do a break today because I'm going to get us out of here early. But if you need to pop away to go to the restroom, we understand. Thanks for adding a little color there. Got a little color on the page, Crystal.
Mine says you're viewing Molly Parker's screen.
That is the PowerPoint you're looking at. If you go to your ribbon up, my ribbon is up at the top of the page.
I only have the option for a pen. I don't have the option for a text, and it's probably because I'm on mobile.
You're on the phone?
Yes.
That might be why.
It won't let me click on you are viewing R. Mark Miles.
Click view options to the right of that.
Uh-huh.
And then click annotate.
Okay. It still says you're viewing Molly Parker's screen.
That's the PowerPoint you're seeing. Okay.
What would you like me to do?
I guess you won't be able to participate in this, but I'll let you join in with your comments. So just hang tight.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to clear this. Now let's do it for real. The left-hand side is behaviors of effective supervisor. When you think of an effective supervisor, what are the behaviors or characteristics you think of? Put those on the left-hand side column. Try to move them around on the page so they don't all fall on top of each other. The right-hand side is behaviors of ineffective supervisors. When you think of those that are ineffective, what do you think of? Okay, we're getting some good comments.
We have in the chat effective is clear communication.
Okay, let's look at the left-hand column. We got empathetic, personable. I guess that means personable times two. Engagement, empathy, good communication, understanding, a leader, encouraging, good listener, flexible, organized, positive, honesty, integrity, empathy, awareness, time management, responsive, and available. Then on the right side, we have demanding, lack of recognition, always angry, aggressive, does not delegate tasks, dismissive, negativity, belittling, micromanaging, expecting employees to do something they aren't willing to do, unaware, being late, unavailable, doesn't listen, aggression and stubbornness, lack of awareness, and disrespectfulness. So let's look at these two lists. The left-hand side is what we aspire to be. So that is our end goal today, is to be these things. And our right side is what we want to avoid being labeled. And so the goal is the left side, and to avoid the right. Let's take a minute to look over this list before we move on. And if you weren't able to type on there and there's something that you want to add, go ahead and unmute yourself.
I think something of ineffective supervisors that I didn't see on there was dishonesty.
I thought I saw dishonesty, but yeah, you're definitely right. Aloof, someone just typed aloof, yeah.
I was gonna type very impatient. Someone who's impatient with a new learner is very ineffective.
Yeah, impatient, definitely. Good. Good comments. Today's session is broken up into 5 foundational categories: relationship management, project management, performance management, problem management, and not personnel, but personal management. And we're going to go through each one of these foundational categories today. Before we do that, we want to stop and recognize some common pitfalls that I see a lot of new supervisors fall into. First is being bossy. That's talking more than listening. Micromanaging. No one likes a micromanager. If you ask someone, no one will ever say, yes, I want my supervisor to be a micromanager. You'll never hear that. Breaking confidentiality. No one likes a messy supervisor. Being disengaged. We're in Gallup engagement season. The Gallup survey comes out next week, and we know that if you're not engaged, that it's a trickle-down effect that your employees probably aren't engaged either. And displaying favoritism will never get you any points. So Google conducted research, and Google conducted research on what makes an effective supervisor. And they didn't find that it was technical skills or expertise in their field was what came up. What they found that was people wanted even-keeled supervisors, having emotions under control or balance, making time for one-on-one meetings, helping employees solve problems by asking questions, and taking an interest in their employees and their lives and their careers. So you have to, when supervising, adopt the right mindset. Employees don't want supervisors who have more deeper technical expertise. They simply want supervisors to be available to them. So let's dive into, and I'm about to take this off the screen, so be ready to turn on your camera. We're going to start out with relationship management. And I want to hear from folks. What have you done to intentionally build relationships with your teams? What have you done to intentionally build relationships with your team members?
I think it's something
Right.
that's, sorry, this is Ryan. Something just as
Yeah,
simple as,
hold up, Brian. And I
all right.
forgot to say, when you speak today, introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
Okay.
So go ahead and introduce yourself, Ryan. Thank you.
Yeah, Ryan Appleton. I work at the Associate Director of Transition Programs at UNT Wise. We're a program within the Department of, oh man, Rehabilitation and Health Services in the College of Health and Public Service. What was the question again?
How have
Oh,
you built
yeah,
relationships?
it's something just as simple as just going out to eat lunch. I mean, just, starting there. I mean, that's just kind of, I'm always just not trying to be one of them, but just taking them out to eat, just something simple as that.
Yeah, that's definitely effective. Thank you. Who else?
I think I would say something that I've done is just ask them simply what something fun you did over the weekend.
Mhm.
It's simple and they don't have to tell anything super personal, but they can tell me one thing that they did that was fun.
Uh-huh. That's great.
So I have a routine weekly check-in with my team. I have a team of 4, and so we have kind of a weekly check-in where we get together and kind of share and collaborate. And that's kind of my way of making sure our team is engaging as one. But then I make a point kind of every day to touch base, at a different time with each of them. Just, good morning or good afternoon, how are you? Or obviously I don't want to dive too much into personal lives or go too much there, but I do kind of try to connect with them just on a human level, and maybe follow up, if somebody's, son was in an accident last week, hey, how are they doing? Are they doing okay this week? Are they feeling better? Things like that, just to kind of bring in that human element, not, just workload, things. So I just try to connect that way with my
Great.
team.
Great. Thank you, Crystal. Crystal, did you introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Crystal McLaren. I work in the controller's office at UNT and I lead our state accounting team, doing all of our legislative funds and things like that.
Okay, great. Thank you. Who? Jen?
Yeah, so I'm Jen Rowe. I'm interim head of the Sycamore Library on the Denton campus. Are there people in other places besides the Denton campus? This is all UNT system people. I just thought, yeah, I'd throw that out there for context. I have regular like monthly meetings with direct reports for us to talk in depth about things, but I just try to check in with people like others have already said and just ask them, how was your weekend? Or if they've offered something about something that's going on in their personal life, just following up and asking, how was that party you were talking about? Or how's your son doing or whatever. So
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. Anybody else?
I'm Michel Fati. I am assistant professor at College of Business, Information Technology and Decision Science. I usually do whatever the others do, but one thing that I'm very, very interested to see how I can help student is that I will ask them, what do you see yourself in 5 years? So I want to see that how I can help them with those skills, or if I see that they don't see a clear future for actually the career development, I will correct them. Sometimes like by providing different skills like software development, learning, and so many other things. But usually I am motivating them, and this is my strategy to engage with them. So, and I tell them that I want to be part of your future story. So
Great. Thank you. So something that I do with all my team members is I give them a sheet called Factors That Motivate Me. because people are motivated in different ways. And part of really building that relationship is knowing what motivates your employees. And so I will have Crystal email that out to you, but it's like a list of 20 different factors, and they fill it out. Just to give you a sense, some people like public recognition, some people don't. And a lot of you talked about this, alluded to this, but part of the thing is knowing your employee, knowing which employees who want to share every detail of their weekend and those that want to stay a little bit more private. I encourage you to have a team retreat with your team where you do some team building with your team. Our department, organizational development engagement, will plan that for you. The person on your campus from my team that will come in and do that for your team, his name is Amanda Fisher. You may know Amanda from some of her training, but Amanda will come in and conduct a team building retreat for you and your group. You make the time and find the space, and we'll come in and facilitate it. So that's a service we offer. Okay, I'm going to put us back on screen, and I'm going to want to hear from everybody today at some point. So thank you for those who have already shared. So with relationship management and building a foundation of healthy relationships, first thing is you got to build a strong working relationship with your supervisor. And here's some great questions to ask yourself. Do I understand my supervisor's responsibilities? Do I know their career objectives? Do I know their hot buttons? Do I understand their strengths or weaknesses? Part of having a healthy relationships at work involve knowing your supervisor, engaging your support network. Look across this class today. You guys are all on the UNT campus, so you are each other's support network, and you want to be able to network with each other so you can vent and share challenges and support each other. But with working with your team, you've got to establish trust and credibility. And some questions to ask yourself about your team is, do I understand my team members' roles and responsibilities? It's very hard to supervise someone if you don't understand what they do on the team. Do I know my team members' expectations of me? Do I know my team members know what I expect from them? Have I listened to my team? Can I write down at least one insight from my team member or my peer? And have I communicated my thoughts on the organization? Do people know your vision? We all know what our institution's vision is, but have you articulated a vision of where you see the department heading? And that's something people are going to be very interested to hear from you as a new supervisor. We're on page 4 of the participant guide. So I want you to watch a video and see what stands out to you. I think you'll enjoy the video.
Next time you break open a bag of flaming hot Cheetos, know that you're about to take a bite of the American dream. The flavor and the recipe were the brainchild of a janitor working at the Rancho Cucamonga, California Frito-Lay factory in the mid-1970s. Richard Montañez said the idea came to him when he saw a food vendor put cheese and chili on a bowl of corn. He thought, why not spice up a Cheeto? After perfecting the recipe, he called the company's CEO, who asked Montañez to come in and pitch the idea. He barely spoke English at the time, but forged ahead, getting a book on marketing from the library, packaging his test snacks, and buying a tie. Clearly, the meeting was a huge success, and Flamin' Hot Cheetos are now the company's best-selling product. That's not the only happy ending, though. Montañez has since become the Executive Vice President of Multicultural Sales and Community Activation for PepsiCo's North American branch. He hasn't forgotten where he came from, though. He uses his success to help others, providing scholarships for Latino students and food and clothing for needy families.
So, what stood out to you about this video about this gentleman? As far as it goes, building healthy relationships.
His willingness to not pull the ladder up behind him, so to speak, just because he made it. He was willing to go ahead and try to help those who come behind him so that they can be successful as well. Yeah, I don't.
Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Monique Shepard. I am the Library Administrative Services Coordinator at UNT Libraries. I work in the Willis office.
Okay, so we got a couple of library people on here today. Okay. Who else? Thank you, Monique.
I'm
Hi.
Scott Brown. Oh, sorry.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Scott, then Stephanie. Go ahead, Scott.
Okay. Senior Associate Director of Publications at UBSC. Something that stood out to me was that the CEO met with him. His boss gave him a chance to share his idea and lift himself up.
Yeah. Scott, do you work with Kelly Reese?
I do.
Kelly and I lived together in Clark Hall way back in the day when we were both students at UNT.
That's funny.
So I have to be good because she probably could tell some stories on me.
I'll be
All
sure
right,
to ask.
Stephanie.
Hi, I'm Stephanie. I work in the union programming. So art programming, art gallery, and the fine arts series is all kind of my purview. But I was going to say something similar, the fact that he felt comfortable to reach out to the CEO and like they had that like open door policy where he could pitch his idea and not just be shut down because of his status. So that's what stood out to me.
Great, thank you. Yeah. How many of y'all have seen the movie on this? It's on Hulu now. No one? Yeah, it's now a movie and it's on Hulu. So you can catch the full story there if you want to. Nice little easy movie to watch. Anybody else want to add something before we move on? Good comments. Thank you. So now we're going to talk about project management. You have to be good project managers to be a successful supervisor because you're going to be managing your projects and your employees' projects. So we're going to take a poll because I try to keep this session interesting and different. So I'm going to launch this poll, and the question is, how would you rate your delegation skills? And I want everybody to please take the poll. It is confidential, so I won't know who said what. I just know how many people said it. So there we go. Somebody's already jumped out there. How would you rate your delegation skills? Awesome, good, just okay, or let's not talk about it. Okay, still some people haven't taken it. Just a few of you haven't taken it. Okay, I guess everybody's not going to take it. Let's share the results. 2 of you said awesome, and my hat is off to you. Congratulations for being awesome. 10 of you, 59%, the majority, said good, and that's good. Always room for improvement, though. 4 of you, 24%, said just okay, and 1 was just brutally honest and said, let's not talk about it. So that's people that are in the just okay, let's not talk about. We definitely want to consider what are the reasons why we're not great at it. People that are good, we want to think about, well, how can I be even better at it? I'm going to stop sharing. So I'm going to take us off screen again, and I'm going to give us a point to ponder. How do you decide what tasks and responsibilities to handle yourself versus what to delegate to team members? So essentially, what goes into your thought process about delegation? How do you decide when to delegate and when not to? What goes into the thought process?
Hi, I'm Jonathan Biles. I am the supervisor for the Credential International Evaluation team at UNT. One thing I like to think about when figuring out who to delegate is going to be degrees of importance or imminence. So if something needs to be done immediately, it's either going to be, if I'm available, I'll take care of it then, or whoever in my team is can respond the quickest and make sure that it gets done properly.
Great. Thank you, Jonathan. Nice to meet you. Someone I haven't heard from.
Hi, I'm Tim. I'm the Senior Instructional Lab Supervisor for Chemistry.
Welcome.
So I've got a team of 3 that supervise our instructional labs. And delegation for me is difficult because I'm one of those control freaks that likes to do everything.
At least you own it though, Tim. At least you own it.
Oh, I am working with my therapist to get better at this.
Hey, that's all right.
As far as how do I consider what to delegate and how to delegate, I will admit I have it kind of lucky because my team is very clear cut in which classes they supervise. So, you know, if I have a Gen Chem thing, I have to delegate it to my Gen Chem supervisor, or things like that. And then, like Jonathan said, just urgency. You know, if it's something that somebody comes to me and I know I can do it in 30 seconds, I'm just going to freaking do it. Like, I'm not going to try and spend the 2 minutes to contact someone to delegate that.
Yeah, and I understand that. And the thing is, delegating can be hard because sometimes delegating is more work than just doing it. Do you agree? Sometimes it can take you 1 minute to do something that's going to take you 5 minutes to explain it to somebody, you know, and so we feel like, well, I can just do this faster. So that's why delegation can be hard, because it can be more time consuming. We can also find that we don't get things back in the way that we wanted them back. And so that's why delegation can be really challenging. But what we'll find, and we'll discuss more as we go further through this section, is that when you delegate, you are investing in your team members' future, because you are empowering them and helping them to learn skills that maybe you don't have. So I'm going to take us back to screen unless somebody wants to add to anything. Thank you for being so open there, Tim. So do delegate tasks that team members have shown a particular interest in. Delegation is something that, you know, a team member may want to build their skills, and this is where you can build them. But you don't want to delegate work that's so disagreeable that you would not want to do it yourself. I believe I saw that on our whiteboard earlier. Tasks that others can do as well or better than you. The first important thing to recognize is just because you're the supervisor doesn't mean you're the best at that task. There may be someone on your team that's better at it than you, but you don't want to delegate work that your supervisor has asked you to personally handle. Tasks that would develop your team's capabilities, that's investing in your team again. You don't want to delegate confidential items, personnel, or disciplinary issues. So you don't want to be a micromanager, but you still want your end product to look a certain way. Well, in the book, Winning with Accountability, The Secret Language of High-Performing Organizations, author Henry J. Evan put out the term front-load accountability. He says if we use front-load accountability to delegate, then we're setting ourselves up for success. Front-load accountability is where you explain what the end product is going to look like, and you allow the people to go do it in a way that works best for them. If you think about this, people have been trained with front-load accountability because in high school, your English teacher said, I want that paper 1-inch margins, Times New Roman, 12-point font, 3 paragraphs minimum, a line left, header, works cited page. So we've been trained in front-load accountability. But when you practice this concept, you're increasing performance, allocating resources, increasing employee job satisfaction, and improving overall results. So you want to practice front-load accountability when delegating. Some delegation tips are you may have to help employees prioritize. There's some that don't need that help, and there's others that may need to know how to prioritize their duties. Determine the level of autonomy. There are some employees I have to handhold, and there are some employees that I've had that I know they want me hands off, and I am comfortable with them having a level of autonomy. You have to, as their supervisor, know your employees well enough to know how much autonomy they can handle. Describe the task. That's front load accountability. Provide the support and establish deadlines and milestones. You may want to establish deadlines and milestones because if you let a project go on for too long and then it's not what you wanted and you didn't check in along the way, then you've kind of set yourself up for failure. So those are some delegation tips. Performance management. When I say performance management, what comes to most people's mind?
The evaluation system, at least for me, like that immediately comes to the evaluation system.
Definitely money. Yeah, you think of the evaluation system, but what we find is if you're doing performance management right, it is a shared and continuous year-long process that may culminate with a performance review, but it begins with performance planning. And this is where you do goal setting, and that's a shared experience between you and your employee where you talk through the goals. You may offer some goals for them to work on. They may offer some goals to work on, but you find what works for both of you, and you set those goals. And then supporting performance is the coaching and feedback that occurs year-round. If you get to the performance review and the first time you discuss something is in the performance review, then you haven't done your job as a supervisor, because it should be a shared and continuous process that you're continually working on throughout the year. And you will soon hear, we are shifting toward a new way of doing goals, and they're called OKRs, Objectives and Key Results. I don't know if you've heard about it. HSC does it. The system has done it, and I want to say Dallas is already doing it, but UNT will be next. But it is a way to come up with a different way of coming up with goals that you discuss every 90 days. You have check-ins every 90 days. I've taken it a step further. With my employees, I had them put their OKRs, which are their goals for the year or for every 90 days. I have them put them on their weekly agenda. I have my employees provide me with a weekly agenda for our one-on-ones, and that's a standing agenda item that we always look at. So our next topic is kind of fun, and it's called problem management. And we see here, we often hear of this when people are managing, when you are managing your fires. When I say managing fires, what comes to your mind?
Emergency situations that really require your attention like immediately to resolve.
Yeah, definitely. Have you introduced yourself?
Oh, my name is Alexandria Anderson. I'm one of the senior academic counselors over in the College of Science.
Thank you, Alexandria. Yeah, definitely. That's right. Anybody else? When I hear managing fires, what comes to my mind is my shoulders going up to my neck, the tension setting in, and that stress taking over. Managing fires is stressful. It can be very tiring. And the thing is you're going to manage a lot of fires as a manager. And so it becomes, how well do you manage those fires? If the fires manage you and engulf you, then you won't be successful. So you have to learn techniques or strategies to effectively manage fires. Some symptoms when this is when you'll know you're mismanaging fires. Trying to control the uncontrollable, nothing more tiring than trying to control something that you can't control. Feeling like a victim, blaming yourself for every problem, or feeling paralyzed. If you ever feel any of these things, then you need to deploy some tactics or strategies to help you manage your fires more effectively. Some tips for preventing crisis. I want you to, this is on page 6 of your participant guide, and I want you to keep this handy in the future, but these are some good guiding questions to help you prevent a crisis. Must this be addressed right now? Is this a temporary problem that resolve itself soon? Can I schedule the fire issue to get done so it becomes a part of my plan and an important to-do item? Am I the only one to handle this? If not, whom can I delegate? How can we handle or plan for this so it doesn't become a reoccurring question? But these are all points to ponder for later that I want you to reflect on. So we're going to do another fun poll. And I want to hear about what is your response? Is the poll, just a second. I'd like everybody to take this time. As a team member comes to you with a task-related problem, he or she is unsure how to handle it. What is your response? I'm really busy right now. Figure it out yourself. I'll take care of it. Here's what you should do to handle it. What do you think would be the first step? So take this poll. Okay, got a couple more need to take it. Okay, I'm going to share the poll. No one said I'm really busy right now. Figure it out for yourself. I'm glad you didn't say that. No one also said I'll take care of it. I have a strong feeling there are people out there that this may fall into this because this is a very normal reaction. It's kind of like what we were talking about with not wanting to delegate, just taking care of it yourself. Some people said, here's what you should do to handle it. And that is a common response. And then the majority of you said, what do you think would be the first good step? And that would be optimum, is to coach them and ask them what they think would be a good first step. But why do we not do that? Somebody just jump out there real quick. Why do we not go to that last answer there?
I will say I went with here's what you should do to handle it, but that's also partially because I'm still training 2 people. We just hired 2 of my team members less than a year ago, so they're still getting used to. They don't know how to do it yet. So I can't really ask, what do you think is a good first step if they legitimately don't know what the steps are?
Yeah, you definitely have to determine your people. But I think a lot of the reason why we don't do it is, once again, it's very time consuming. It's just easier to explain it and send them on their way. But the thing is that we want to build people for the future. We want to empower people and help them be critical thinkers. I have another video. It's one of my favorite videos that's going to speak to why we should empower our employees and guide them rather than tell them.
Whoa, that's not good.
Oh, I don't need this. I'm already late.
Somebody will come. Anybody out there?
Do you have a phone?
No. Sorry. Somebody! Hello? There are two people stuck on an escalator and we need help. Now, would somebody please do something? I don't believe this. You gotta be kidding me.
I'm gonna cry.
Well, there's not enough left to do.
So are those your employees? Are they stuck on the escalator? Have you empowered them to think things out, to critically think on their own so that they realize that they can take one step in front of the other to get off the escalator on their own? We want to empower our employees and guide them rather than tell them what to do, so that we are building them up. And especially if you're working with new professionals, you're building them for their future career, and you're building them to go further in their career. And so you definitely want to empower them and work with them so that they can be problem solvers. You don't want the people that are stuck on the escalator, right? So, and I also want you to keep these handy, page 7 of your guide. These are great questions to guide rather than tell. What solutions are you considering? What solutions have you discarded and why? What obstacles are preventing you from making a decision? Have you experienced a similar problem before here at a previous job? How was it resolved? What do you think we should do to address this problem? That's the best one, is this one. And if you were me, what would you do? These are great questions that you can ask your employees. Yes, I know it takes more time. You have to shift into coaching mode. So I understand that. But if you don't do this and people are not able to resolve problems on their own, then they're going to be stuck on the escalator at some point. And what you're going to find is when you're having to come run out to the emergency because your employees are stuck on the escalator, you're going to become burned out. And being in a place of being burned out at work is not a fun place to be. So some tips for managing interpersonal conflict. We're going to shift a little bit. One of the things that you're going to do when managing fire is there's all kinds of interpersonal conflict that occurs between employees, with employees, and it's very tiring. And so we want to prevent it from happening. Some ways you can do this is to maintain an open door policy so people know they can come talk to you, to address issues immediately so they don't fester and get worse, to lead by example. Role modeling is always crucial, and to have team members address conflict directly. We want team members, when they have interpersonal conflict, to try to resolve. The goal should be in any conflict to resolve the conflict at the lowest level possible. When you get involved as a supervisor, it's knocked it up a level. And so we want team members to learn how to address conflict on their own. Once again, empowering them and teaching them how to resolve conflict. We're going to do some breakout rooms here in just a second. I'm going to put you in groups of 5 or 6, and you're going to discuss this scenario and tell me how you will resolve it. Remember that some of the things that we just discussed, some of the questions that we say we need to ask to coach people. But here's scenario 1. A direct report who is leading a team project with 3 other employees comes to you complaining they feel one of the co-workers takes up too much time talking during the team project's weekly meetings. They state the personally continue gets off subject and drives down the effectiveness of the meeting. So you have an employee, they come to you, they say they're on this the team's weekly meeting, they're frustrated with another person who talks too much and keeps them from being effective in the meeting. How should you as a supervisor respond? I'm going to ask Crystal to pause the video. A direct report who is leading a team project with 3 other employees comes to you complaining that they feel one of their co-workers takes up too much time talking during the team project's weekly meetings. They state that the person continually gets off subject and drives down the effectiveness on the meeting. Tell me how you're going to handle this.
Hey, my name is Matthew Moore. I work with the DSI Tech team at the University of North Texas, representing Group 3 in our breakout. What we talked about was having an agenda before the meeting, setting timeframes for topics, rules of engagement so that we could allow other people to have an opportunity to speak. So setting times that people can communicate about certain topics. That's kind of what we had in mind.
Yeah, great. Group 1.
So group 1 kind of discussed like pros and cons to the situation. And so we kind of thought some of the cons were, you know, if somebody comes to us as a supervisor, you know, what would that look like if we just stepped in and addressed the issue? And so we didn't think that that was the best choice. We didn't want anybody in the small work group to feel reprimanded or even create a dynamic within the group, you know, that somebody's going out and tattling or, you know, reporting back. We didn't want to create that environment. So kind of some of the suggestions we discussed was, we didn't specifically say an agenda, but maybe starting out the meeting, just a reminder to be respectful of everybody's time. And in that, setting goals, what we want to accomplish, you know, in this time frame we have to work on this. But the biggest thing I think we all agreed on was really kind of encouraging this direct report to maybe kind of start building their leadership skills and be able to step in and kind of redirect back to the task at hand to maybe make it a little more time efficient. And then one other suggestion we had was maybe allot a time at the end of the meeting, kind of an open forum style, to have more of like a conversation type atmosphere that may kind of help, you know, that other person in the work group be able to feel like they're included or heard or something like that. So those were kind of suggestions.
Okay, great. Thank you. Group 2.
I'm not sure what group we were. So, oh,
Go ahead. That's
okay,
all right.
so I
Go
guess
ahead.
group 4. But we just talked about how if the person leading this project or group is coming to us, the supervisor, with this issue, then they are struggling with leadership. So they need to learn to control the situation, and they might need some coaching, some mentoring on, you know, how to do that. We would want to coach them through, you know, setting the tone early for each meeting, setting agendas and having topics set ahead of the meetings so that things aren't as likely to go off the rails during the meetings. We would want to ask them to share, you know, how they typically run the meetings, and then work through some ways that they could improve that process, and basically just encourage and empower them to speak up and redirect the meeting when things go sideways.
Group 2.
In group 2, primarily we discussed asking the right questions. So how are they creating these distractions? When are they creating distractions? Is at the start of the meeting and you just can't initiate or move to the right direction? Or is it even as impactful? Are you the leader just more sensitive to off-topic conversations when work is still being worked productively? So it's figuring out and getting to the root of the problem and figuring out where the issues could arise, and maybe come up with an idea like an agenda to help them be more productive as a team.
Great. These are all definitely approaches to doing this. Do want to highlight that, yes, we want to try to build the person up to be able to resolve the problem on their own if possible. But all those answers are viable solutions. I'm going to take us back to screen for the next scenario. We have one more, and it gets this one gets a little bit fun. It's going to be a little bit more challenging. Scenario 2, Your direct report comes to your office upset, explaining they've received a rude email reply from a team member after sending them a request to work together on planning an office celebration. The email response says, first, to think that I have time for your office antics proves that you are truly unprofessional. Second off, please stop spamming my inbox with things that are not important to my job. All right, so this one's going to be a little bit more challenging. I am going to post this in the chat so you can reread it if you need to. We're going to have about 5 minutes. Let's stop the video, please. Your direct report comes to your office upset, explaining they received a rude email reply from a team member after sending them a request to work together on planning an office celebration. The email says, first off, to think that I have time for your office antics proves that you are truly unprofessional. Second off, please stop spamming my inbox with things that are not important to my job. Oh, this is a fun day at work. How do you proceed?
This is Matthew again, Group 3. We talked about giving the employee an opportunity to kind of vent and de-escalate the situation, express some of the frustrations that they may be feeling about the email. We thought it would be a good opportunity to also open up conversation about workload and prioritization to see if, maybe there were other priorities that were given, a greater influence than this. Basically just to open up the conversation, to allow emotions to de-escalate and to apply some emotional intelligence on how to move forward.
Great, thank you. Next group.
So this is Alexandria with Group 1. So we would basically have two different conversations. So the first would be with the person who received the email, basically asking them, how does this make you feel, kind of emotionally de-escalate, but also letting them know that that is definitely the type of office culture we want to promote, is the togetherness and doing things and building that camaraderie. So to let them know that that email was very inappropriate, and they don't even have to respond to it just because that other person is such a heightened sense of discomfort and tension that responding to that email just may not even be the best way to go about that. And then bring in that person that sent the email for a separate conversation. Don't mention the email initially. You don't want to put the first person under the gun and, the whole tattletale aspect. But, maybe let them know I've been getting some feelings that maybe around the office, that those type of events aren't as appreciated as I would hope. What are you feeling about these outings? Like, open the door where that person can discuss their feelings about the type of team building that we do, rather than explicitly saying, well, this person received an email from you, like you don't want to call that person out. And then as a follow-up email to everybody on the team, letting them know that these type of activities, while they are encouraged, are optional. So, not everybody wants to interact. They don't have to necessarily feel like they have to all the time. So making sure to catch if there's anybody else on the team that might be feeling this way as well.
Great, thank you. Next group.
I'll go for team 4, I guess. So we had some different ideas put forward. One was to ask the person on the receiving end of the email to share the entire thread, so we could kind of take a look and see, just get the full context for what this interaction was, and then maybe sit the two of them down together to talk things through, see what the issues are. Another idea put forward was to first sit with each of them individually, ask if they're comfortable meeting together to try to resolve the situation. Giving the person the emailer, the rude emailer, the option to opt out of party planning if that's not something that they are interested in doing going forward. Another idea was just to sit with the emailer and ask them what was going on that day. Use some empathy, try to get the background information there. And then, but also let them know that we would like them to participate in the project. So.
All right, thank you. Next group.
I guess I'll go. I'm Sammy Huckabee. I work with UNT Denton in the admissions office on the graduate side. So group 2 pretty much went over like we need both sides of the story. We need to know how the other person was feeling that day. And to just let them know like we all need respect. Please don't talk to other people like that. And like just be like, let me know like if you are frustrated instead of sending a like rudish email out, like come talk to me about it. Be like, this person sent me this. I don't appreciate it. I already have a heavy workload on me. And then like at that point, the supervisors can fix it and be like, okay, well, if you're like busy right now, like that's okay. We can put it on someone else or like I'll take over or something like that. So just reassure them like you don't have to do it, but like also don't send those kind of emails.
Thank you, Sammy. So I had someone in this course last year that I knew that I asked her what she thought of it after the course was over. And she's like, I really wished on the empower them activity discussions, you had told us what the right answer is. I don't have a right answer because there are many ways to approach this that are correct. And all of you had very viable strategies. And so without having the full context of the situation, it's hard to say what the exact right answer is. I know in this situation, you know, we can coach the employee to go back and talk. I would not respond and tell them not to respond in email. Definitely would not have them respond in email. They could go back and share with that person how it made them feel to receive that email. I think there's some red flags there that we want to find out what's going on with this employee. Why would they send an email like that? It makes me concerned that sounds like they're really stressed or, you know, there's another side of the story I need to hear. And so I definitely probably would have a discussion with that employee. But there are many different ways, and that's why we allow y'all to share the different approaches for you to hear that there are different ways to skin a cat, right? So those were all great responses. I'm gonna put us back on screen. Now we're going to talk about personal management, not personnel, but personal. You cannot be a successful supervisor if you are not personally managing yourself. And so this is a key foundational item. The first thing that this is homework for all of you, but you know, we recently this past year launched our new system-wide institutional values. Courageous integrity, be curious, we care, better together, show your fire. Take time to think about how your job duties and the actions are reflected in the values. Really think about that, how you see the work that you do falling into these values. And then take it a step further. I advise all of you to do this with your team if you want your team to really see these values and how they come alive. You can set up get your team in a room, put up a poster board on the wall for each value. So we would have 5 poster boards. Give your employees a stack of Post-it notes and say, think about your job duties, write down your job duty and post it under the value that represents it the best so that your team really, sorry, there are dogs outside my house and now my dogs are barking, but have them really think about how their values are reflected. Hold on just a second. How their values are reflected, their work is reflected in the values. Next, this is homework 2. I'm not going to check if you did it, but I definitely want you to do this. Something I didn't share earlier is I have a background in communication. I teach communication courses at the college level. And one thing that we know is that our natural communication style shifts and becomes different under stress. And so it is important for you to become aware of how you're communicating to others under duress, under stress, because that can impact your relationships that you have. So take this. This is on page 8 of your participant guide. When under stress, I tend to talk more or less, agree more or less, want my own way more or less. Go through this and answer this and do some self-awareness. And then once you've done it, this is the fun thing. Give this to one of your employees who knows you well. Give this to your spouse, your best friend, your BFF. Have them take it as though they are you and see if their answers and your answers match up. If they don't match up, then you may not have a strong sense of self. Others may be seeing you differently than you think you are coming across. So this is definitely a good exercise that I want all of you to follow up on. Once you keep this pyramid in mind, there's some things that are going to be important for you as you go forward in your career as a supervisor. You need to find a mentor for career development. I say find mentors, plural, with an S. I had mentors for all different types of things in my life. I had marriage mentors, I have supervisor mentors, I have mentors for different organizations. There's been lots of studies that show that for career effectiveness for people of color, and especially women, that mentors play a huge role in their success and going further in their career. But you need a mentor, and there's differences between the coaches and mentors. But you want to find someone that can share their experience with you. Look to people that you admire and reach out to them and say, hey, can I take you to lunch? And I just want to share how you navigate challenging situations, or, ask some questions about how they've made it in their career. You want to network for troubleshooting and advice. Look to this group right here. You're all new to supervision at UNT. You all can be great resources. Network with the people on your campus, and then engage in continuous learning. To be a great supervisor, you have to be continuously learning, adding to your toolbox, and becoming more aware of how you can be great in your role. You're obviously doing that by participating in this cohort. Thank you for being a part of this, and hopefully this will give you some tools in your toolbox as well. But the last question I'm going to leave you today, and I'd love to hear from some people that I haven't heard from today so we can get you introduced. But this is kind of a huge question, is how do you want people to remember you? In 5 years, when your employee moves on to another job and they reflect upon you as their supervisor, what do you hope they remember? What will be your supervisory legacy? What do you hope employees remember about you? And I'm going to open the floor to somebody who wants to share what type of legacy they want to leave as a supervisor.
Hello. I am Andy, the electrical supervisor.
Hi, Andy.
I just want to share that I like helping people learn and get to where they want to be, and like getting their license or extra safety or training, but just to be that person, be like, man, that guy always helped me and got me to where I wanted to be, and just be that guy that helped them in every way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And Andy, they'll remember you for that, and that's a pretty powerful thing.
That's what I want to strive to, but that's all I had.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
My name is,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead.
My name is Kim Teamer, and I am new to UNT as well as new to the position, of course. I am an area desk coordinator. And I guess I would because I work with, well, I guess we all do here at the school, work with students. I guess I would like my legacy to be that I showed lots of empathy and was able to listen to them and help talk them through their current situation without giving them an answer, helping them to come to the answer of their own. I'd like to be remembered as someone who listened and kind of guided them to where they needed to be.
Great. Yeah. Thank you, Kim. Nice to meet you. Jason?
Yeah, hi. I'll keep this short. I'm out sick today, but I didn't want to miss this.
Oh, thank you, Jason.
I would like to be remembered as a person that was easy to get along with, that listened, helped them get to where they wanted to be, and have respect, have their respect as a coworker and a person they reported to.
Great. Thank you, Jason. Hope you feel better.
Thanks.
Amanda? We haven't met you yet.
Hi, I'm Amanda Fuller. I work in UBSC with Scott Brown.
Okay.
And everyone's already taken all the good answers. So
Okay.
just ditto.
Welcome. Who else have we not met? Joy?
Hi guys, I'm Joy Short. I am the graduate admission supervisor here in the ESSE. And something I'd love to be, remembered by is just that I was always there and I was, always the ones that if I could not figure out exactly in that moment what the answer was, you could bet your bottom dollar I will figure it out for you and I will help you along the way.
Great. Thank you. Nice to meet you, Joy. Anybody else we haven't met? Sheila, have we heard from you? You're on mute.
I talked in the breakout group quite a bit, so I'm trying to remain quiet a little bit. I've learned a lot. If I wanted someone to remember me, I would want them to manage the way that I manage. If they ever left me or this job or got a better job and they became a supervisor one day, I would like a person like me, if they took all the things that I showed them and implemented those in their supervisory style, I would like that.
Great. Thank you. So I do want you to take this as homework to reflect on when you have a quiet moment. Think about the legacy you want to have. That's an important thing to think about, because when you think about that legacy, that's going to guide you as you go forward as a supervisor. If you are achieving those things that some of the people just said, then you're truly making an impact on this organization, on your employees. And so think about the legacy you want to leave and use that as a guiding light as you go forward. You can stop the recording. I'm going to do some housekeeping, but you can stop the recording.